Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Pine Hills Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, where Max and Dave's my German Shepherd, Czechoslovakian Red, short-haired, purebreds roam the 5-10 acres here around a stark, tiny lake that keep us free from all the gunfire, violence, everything sad in the world today here. That way I can talk to my man from the Midwest. That's RDV, of course. And we're going to be talking about our continuing review of Rabbit Hole. We're tonight at Season 1, Episode 6. And RDV, I got to tell you, talked about the show being very gimmicky, a lot of cutesy ass stuff. Talked about them being a bit ballsy with them tackling New World Order and potentially anti-communism themes. Let me just say that they're not afraid to shy away from it. We get your Alex Jones conspiracy, aka knockoff guy. We get riots in the streets that might be akin to BLM movement and all that. We try to not get too political on the show, but I tell you, this episode really feels like they're going balls deep in it and everything, because we have assassinations, capitulations, we have all sorts of things going on here. And like I said in the description, sometimes friends never really ever leave you, do they? What's your initial take on this episode?
Well, now that I wasn't sure at first the last episode, but now I know we have freaking Peter Weller as Crowley.
Yeah, I forgot that RoboCop is Crowley. God dang it! I can't believe we didn't bring that up. That's
wow. Because that last episode, but I wasn't sure if he was supposed to be. But now that I know, it's like, dang, that guy aged horribly. not Peter Weller, but I mean, as far as the guy, the original actor was playing the young Crowley. You see him again in 1983 here. Yeah. So Charles Dance, Peter Weller, Kiefer Sutherland. Like, it's just, you're getting a lot of these bigger name celebrities popping in here. And I never thought I was going to see Peter Weller in another thing. Honestly, I thought he was done acting.
Right.
The guy is like he's almost 90, if he's not yet.
Are you sure about that?
he looks like he's about 90, man. But overall, yeah, like I said, this was a better episode. I like this. Just more of a heist episode.
True.
Which I do love this. And then you're getting, like, of course, they go into this bank because they basically got to confront the senator, and the senator's like, well, Crowley has dirt on me in this box locked in this, this bank here, and they figure out that's what it is because she was basically abducted, blindfolded, and, so they figured out where it is, and of course the guy who figures it out is the the treasury guy. His name is offhand, but he figures out. Of course, it's all the dirty secrets are all locked up in this little vault here. It's a common thing. A lot of politicians. So he's like, I'm like, I find that believable too. So they got to break into this. The problem is that, yeah. So I thought it was interesting because, like, they go into this room, like this bank vault, and in order to get in there, like, basically they got to follow this grid ladder because it's all sensitive. It's all cameras. The alarm goes off and it shuts all the doors, locks everything up if you don't follow a certain grid. And he basically, like, I love it. He's like, well, we got to do a bait and switch because the box is over here. We got to get that box over here. And he originally went in, cased it himself. Even made a master copy of the key just by taking a photo of it from different angles and be able to print it off. And so, and I love, like, in order to basically, like, distract the guard, like, they gave Haley, like, they had her come in. He's like, well, I'm going to need your 20 million, And she's like, that's my money. He's like, no, it's not your money. I love he called her on that bullshit. You stole it. It's like, it's not yours. So they're going to invest it and as a decoy. And in order to basically make the switch, they use Haley come in, and she's as a potential person that's going to check out the vault, and she's a tour, and he gave her a laser pointer, and she keeps using the laser pointer by the camera, keeps it at the alarms, and while they're in there too with another guy over by the vault, and it keeps going off, and they use this like as an opportunity to switch the boxes when the guy's not looking.
Right, the old bait switcheroo.
I guess
it's a double bait
Mission
switch.
Impossible. Yeah, but exactly it is. But I got Mission Impossible vibes with this.
If they
all this missing was a guy taking his face off, the rubber mask off.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much like a heist show, but I think it does kind of match up with what you're saying there. That was obviously, I think, the spy thing of it. I want to take a step back here and say that, up to this point here, obviously he's on the run. His best friend, who they created the data analytics firm, who killed himself in front of it. You see the guy looking towards the camera, basically says,
Mhm.
"I had to." He's been, checking his cell phone off of a gaming. Looks like, I think it's Sudoku, if I remember correctly. Just, are you there? Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah,
And the chick had fallen out. She's like, telling his father, like, "Hey, this is kind of sad." And he's like, "Well, men grieve in their own ways, and this and that, and just leave him alone. He's, whatever, my son, blah blah blah." And that'll be important later. But I think at this point, with only a few episodes left, what we're doing is we're looking for the scenes that we've come up across. How are they going to tie into Finn? Because I tell you, this whole bank thing that came out of nowhere, I'm like, oh, that's fucking convenient. Which again, it makes sense, and they don't dwell on it too much. But Ed Hom is the Asian guy who says funny. He's the one that kind of knows about it. So
yeah,
they do approach the senator and kind of a neat little spy thing where she I thought she did a great job of seeming like a hard ass when they're in the limo driving away from the event. And he's like, "Look, I just want to know who your main contributor is, and I'll leave you alone." And she's like, "I can't, because they've got everything on me you do not want to know, and I don't want it out there." That's not like she's fucking around, or she's got bad things in her past. It's like deep
no,
dark stuff. And I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder what they could really hint out, because this lady
yes,
acting as it did such a great job. And it basically was like, well, if you can get that for me, I'll help you out. Because then that way she's got the stroke again. So he goes to do it.
yeah, and
That's the whole switcheroo that they're doing here in the bank. But then something happens. And what is that something, sir?
yeah. Well, you're talking about during the bank scene. Yeah, the key.
No.
He accidentally leaves the key behind. But
But is it
honestly,
accidental?
what?
It's not accidental.
No. Obviously, as I get to it, he tells her like, "Oh, I accidentally left the key behind," because he still doesn't trust her. So she's like, he's like, "It's time to go. They gotta go. We're gonna get made anytime," because the security system was forced to be rebooted. So they get a limited time before all the cameras come back on. So she basically continues going through with her tour after all the alarms going off, and the guys, and he goes, and she basically throws her pen down. And as the guy goes, he's like, "God damn it!" And he's like, at least at this point, the bank manager,
Yeah.
his alarm keeps going off. It's embarrassing. And he goes pick up her basically her pen. She goes quick over, grabs the key, gets back in spot. He apologized to her. Now it looks like she threw the laser pen, and the guy didn't pick up on it though, or it was a pen with a laser pen built into it. So it basically looks
It was
like
an infrared pen. That's all. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So they managed to get out, of course, because they're forced to do this with the senator's her security guard. And his dad's like, dude's gonna double cross. Dude's gonna double cross. We can't do this. It's a bad move, and because his dad was forced to basically stay behind in the van with Ed, and he gets held up. He walks out as Kuiper Sutherland walks out. He gets held up, and they're like, "Yeah," he gives him the box, but he gave him the wrong box. So he put the evidence into his locker.
Yeah, I think the switch here is interesting because he thought steps ahead, where when they go to leave with the box, we see them being approached by people where they take it from them by force. But of course, it was the old switcheroo where he had switched them on the inside because he figured this would happen on the inside. So the question is, do these people work for the senator and he's being strong armed? Not sure if that's 100% true,
but
because
but
we
there's
get
other
her
things
with
going on in this episode though.
I know, and that's the thing is like, how can we tie these loose ends up? Because we know she said she stole this money, this crypto based money, right? So it's not supposed to be trackable. Crypto is trackable, by the way. If people think it's not, I don't know what to tell you, and people want to act like it's this great thing for privacy and all that. It might be from peer to peer, but in terms of the government, no, they can do that. It's just facts. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's not germane to the story, other than
And
how is she skilled enough to have stolen it? And it's a hell of a lot of money. Wouldn't that be a great deal amount of money for either
I don't know, but I want to
political
say
stuff?
that I want to say that he knows that crypto's not is traceable, and that's why he said, like, oh, she's like, what if I lose it? It's like, well, shit happens. Don't worry, you won't lose your money. Basically, we'll get it. And of course, she ends up losing her money.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah, I hope she does.
At least that's my understanding. But anyway, though, they basically go to the senator and be like, the senator is like, and they're like, he calls her up. He's like, I have your shit, and it's like, what? And it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, smooth move. And it's like, yeah, I kind of figure you're going to double cross me. So you're going to meet me here. And she's like, don't. And he's like, where are you? And she's like, well, it's like, don't worry, I'll make a stop. And of course, Crawley has her killed, has her shot in the head. And then the other thing is, there's two things going on at the same time, though. And I don't know if Crawley was involved in this, but maybe he was. I think that it was. The intern boy gets his girlfriend. He's like, I'm done with it, baby. I never should have told you about this. We're done with this. I'm going to kill my boss. So he basically tells her, he's like, I'll do it. I'll go do it. He's like, leave me. He's like, finally, he uses her and gives her a gun. She goes up and she's the one that shoots the senator in the head. She shoots the senator with a gun, and then as she drops the gun, she's gonna leave, and then the security guard that was with Kiefer Sutherland was there and the black guy. He recognizes her, and he's gonna go to her, and then he gets shot in the head with a sniper rifle.
Yeah. And
she quickly runs back, and she's like, "Baby, I did it." It's like, "Oh," it's like, "I love you," and stuff. And then he basically starts revealing who he really is. He's Scottish or Irish, and starts choking her. He's like, "You know what?" It's like, "Oh, I didn't think it would be this easy, but yeah, Crawley." He just said, you find the most weakest person with the most suicidal kind of person and then you basically manipulate them, get them to do what you want, and dispose of them. He just sits there and chokes her, and she cries, and like he just breaks her neck, and he just dumps her under a bridge.
I've got mixed feelings.
So basically, she's framed for the murder of the senator.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, it is because remember we saw him wake up. He woke up in the middle of the night after shooting someone. He had a dream and a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is this guy was this part of the Crawley thing, or is he doing his own thing and is using her and he's working with Crawley? We don't know. At this point, he could have been trying to double cross Crawley, and then we'll find out. But yeah, that was horrible to watch. Watching anybody murdered. Sad.
It was odd because I mentioned to you before how
I'm trying to think what else there was going on at the same time. There's so much.
Yeah, it was his girlfriend. When they plastered on her news, you could see how the media covers things up because they mentioned how she's got a history of was it bipolar disorder and taking psychiatric drugs and all that too. So classic, blaming the victims behavior on those kinds of things or whatever. So it's a perfect scapegoat. And it was weird because when the guy's choking her, he's having this monologue. And I did like how when she died, she had tears in her eyes and her eyes were open, because I always hate that far away look and where people close the eyelids, that stupid stuff. So I thought I wasn't really still scared or intimidated this guy because he looks like a little punk bitch to me. But God damn it, this intern's turning out to be a real pain in the ass. I mean, it seems like he's somebody that's going to have to be reckoned with. He's not screwing around, whether he works for Crawley or not. I don't know either. It's hard to tell at this point.
Well, yeah. And the other big thing that's going on here is that Kiefer Sutherland's character, John, he's just trying to recall the events, everything that's going in advance. Now he knows that his dad had basically was there and witnessed his friends being murdered. Now he's basically replacing the intern boy's face, who's going around shooting his friends, with his dad's face. Did his dad kill his team? Kill them.
Right.
Wasn't even the intern guy. And because he remembers his dad walking around the corner there, the alleyway before it blows up. Because he does at this point, he's basically going down a rabbit hole. He doesn't know if he can trust. But he wants to trust Haley. And
I don't think he does.
Yeah, I said I don't know. He's
testing her.
Yeah. At this point, we don't know who he trusts.
Intimate before and all that. You can see she's working him.
Yeah.
a little bit. So I think she's thinking she's winning him over more than she really is, and I think he's letting her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So something interesting happens here as we get towards the end of
All
the
right.
episode.
As far as yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was trying to think of the other thing is like, as far as the phone thing, as far as because she brings it up to his dad, saying like, I care about my son, and so you're just trying to get me the location of what's going on, time stuff. I don't know because we at the very end here, and we talked about he's been trying to contact Vance, and then somebody answers at the end of this on the private message board. It's like, and we're left to see, like the wonder, is John going crazy or is it someone else messing with him? Is it Haley? Is his dad? Remember, his dad's a psychologist.
True.
Maybe his dad got a hold of the number and is trying to calm him down, or maybe Vance isn't dead. Maybe John's been hallucinating.
What do you think?
We don't know.
It's hard
Honestly,
for me to tell.
I think someone's messing with him because that'd be such a weird thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a delay.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, let's wrap up with some final thoughts here on the episode.
My bad.
No, it's okay. Well, we have a delay going on. I hear it.
Final thoughts. One of the better episodes.
For me, I don't think you can trust anybody. Father, the chick, even the Asian guy. I think he's best served if he goes a little solo here. And I'd like to almost see him break off and maybe have this group try to figure out getting together with him. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here with a couple episodes to go. But yeah, you're absolutely 100% right. Very interesting episode. Bit different than episode 1 where we started to learn how things get done and all that too. But yeah, pretty badass though. I enjoyed this episode a lot more than the last one. So really balls deep in it now. I'm looking forward to a strong finish by these guys. I hope they go out strong on a big note. Obviously, next Tuesday we'll be doing the next episode, so make sure you're here for that, guys. And then we'll be sending out a link a little bit later for what we're going to be covering Sunday night too. So if you got any particular suggestions, let us know. I'll leave with this here before saying goodnight for everybody. RDV, do you have anything coming up that you need to plug?
Just going live in 40 minutes over on the Geeky Puppet Show, talking about some comic books coming out this week.
All right, guys. Cedric, good to see you here in chat. Ed, as usual, nice to see you. Have a good night, guys. As always, stay extreme. Extreme. Extremely paranoid.